I used to always go to the concerts, 18, just sitting there, screaming at the test guy. Test 1, 2. Woo! Yeah! Test 1, yeah! You're coming out, man! I used to be into like AC/DC and all that stuff. I used to love AC/DC. Loud, that's like the headbanger stuff. You ever been to Headbangers? You know why it's called a headbanger concert? Because the music's loud. Lights go out, they come on. Oh my God, my ears! I'm on the highway to hell! I'm coming with you! My guest tonight is the drummer and co-founder of the monstrous popular band Metallica. Over the past 16 years, they have won 3 Grammys, sold more than 50 million albums. They just released their 7th album, Reload. Take a look at the band playing Memory Remains. Please welcome Lars, Ulrich.
I got dizzy from just watching that. Anyway.
How you doing, buddy?
This set is not going to spin around, is it?
No. Did you have trouble with that whole thing? You were spinning and all that with the video?
We were on that thing for like, for 2 days straight.
Were you really?
And this whole thing is just, I mean, for 16 hours a day, we were just going around in circles. And I mean, it gave us, we had these little wristbands on that would prevent us from like throwing up all over ourselves. Beautiful, beautiful.
Did you know you're getting into that, or they just
No, we
said,
got a great idea for a video. Come down, you know, it's a great director. He's done all this before.
Sure.
And we just go down there and, you know, the next...
You're like, yeah, all right. What's this thing doing? Don't worry about it, Lars. Just get on.
Just get up there and play and shut up.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Here we go. So now you got the album Reload, debuted at number 1.
Number 1.
Number 1. Now, originally, I heard that, because first Load came out, and wasn't that supposed to be a double album? How come that didn't become a double album?
Well, we wrote 27 songs for what was going to be a double album,
right.
And we went into the studio to, you know, record all these. And about 6 months into this process, we're like, this is kind of getting a little boring. Maybe we should break this into 2 records.
Right.
That way we also get, if you put a double album out, it only counts for 1 album on your record contract. If you put 2 out, it counts for 2.
So we
figured we'd get one back at the record company.
Sure.
So we put the first 14 songs out on Load last summer, and then we went out on the road for about a year, and
right.
then we came back in the studio this summer
Sure.
and put out the and finished the other 13 songs and put them out a couple of weeks ago.
Now, some people saying, oh, is this the leftovers? But it's not the leftovers at all from Load. This
No,
was
I mean,
more like
we had
revamped
27
stuff,
songs, and I divided them into 2 even records. Most of the songs that ended up on Load were the songs that were done first lyrically. James, we write all the music and we get it all together, and then James sits down and writes all the lyrics literally like 15 minutes before he's going to sing them in the studio. So it's like a really good thing. So
here's what we're doing.
Right? So you come in there, you're like, oh, I wonder what this song is going to sound like. He's still scribbling as he's singing, you know. Oh, I need a second verse. But so all those songs that end up on Load were the ones that were the earliest done, and then the other 13 ended up on Reload.
Now, how would you say the rest of the rock world would view Metallica? Do they come at you hard?
Those
they have
guys
to come
still
at you
around? God, the persistence of these guys. You know what? There aren't a lot of bands who've been around for 16 years.
No.
And there aren't a lot of bands, especially in our world, who've been around for 16 years. Most of them are sitting somewhere in a gutter with a needle in their arm or something like that. Oh, sorry. Sorry, that was too plain. Sorry.
No, it's true, because in the 80s you had all these metal bands, and like, check out my hair, wow!
I mean, all our peers that we came up with in the 80s, they're MIA. You know?
You're absolutely right. I remember you guys. You're the guys that plowed right through.
Right,
And like,
but you know, we
see where you guys are in 10 years.
We just kept it going.
Yeah, sure.
The chemistry of what we have in the band and the combination of the people and stuff like that are, you know, we don't have people that have severe like problems in terms of dealing with being in a band.
Exactly.
We're all tolerant of each other. None of us have severe drug problems or alcohol problems.
And no egotistical.
No, I mean, you know, apart from Cliff, who
exactly.
died in the accident in 1986, we've had an unchanged lineup for 15 years.
And now, what
is a rarity.
as a stand-up, and I'm sure as a band, what do you think is the people when you're putting out the new album? Does it matter what the people? Is it relevant what the people are thinking or what they expect, or it's more?
Increasingly. I mean, now it's completely irrelevant. I mean, when you are on your way up, of course I mean, we've always been very stuck in our own space and very confident and standoffish about what we do. You know, we do this for ourselves.
Right.
We do this in a way that I think from a creative purity point of view, you have to look inward, because the minute you start listening to what people want from you, then it becomes a product.
Yes.
You know, then I might as well be selling toothpaste or something. So it's like we have always had a very standoffish situation with the media and with our fans and so on. Not in a negative way, but just it's best for the creative elements.
Sure, absolutely.
But you know, we had an album in 1991 that came out, as you know, called the Black Album.
The Black Album. Monstrous.
And after that album,
big fans.
Oh, somebody bought it.
Oh, a lot of people bought it. A lot of people bought that.
That record basically sold like 20 million copies worldwide.
And you guys were first. I remember people going, oh, you know, they're going for the pop. And it wasn't that at all. I thought it was an amazing...
No, I mean, but that was still when, you know, when we were sort of like climbing, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
There was still another level of success to get at. Nowadays, the best thing I can say is that we survived that experience. We survived having a record that big. We survived the 2 years on the road.
Right.
And now we are so content. We do whatever we want. We're doing it for ourselves. We're floating around in the little Metallica bubble, and people are throwing darts at us. Oh, you guys cut your hair. You're sold out. You did this.
Exactly.
Like, doesn't faze me. I'm still alive.
And that's all that counts. We'll be back with Lars Ulrich when we return here and later. Welcome back to Later. I'm Jim Breuer. We're chatting with Lars Ulrich. That was a while ago, man.
That was a long time ago. We were hippies back then. Goddamn hippies.
I'm still a hippie.
Inside. I'm a hippie on the inside.
Now, recently you did a free concert in Philadelphia. What spawned that whole idea?
Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks. No. Garth Brooks played a free concert up in Central Park about 3 months ago, 3-4 months ago.
Sure.
And we're like, that's a really cool idea. That'd be a good promotional tool for, you know, the new album. And so we wanted to play up in Chicago because we have a lot of friends up there, a lot of fans up there.
Right.
And we're like, hi, we'd like to play a free concert here in Chicago. They were like, we don't think so. Stay away, Metallica. And so we tried Detroit, and we tried Cleveland, and blah, blah, blah. And finally, there was no place that would accept us within their city limits because we're so frightening, as you can tell.
Oh,
and
good.
so we did a contest with basically, you know, with radio stations, find a place where we can play it. And Philadelphia came up. And so the promoter there, I guess, hadn't cleared it with the Philadelphia City Council. So about 3 or 4 days before the gig, all of a sudden the council members up there, they put an injunction against big, bad, scary Metallica to keep Metallica out of Philadelphia. And we took them to court, and we won. Thank you.
Good for you.
And,
and you rocked on that day.
And we played. We played a free concert in Philadelphia for 50,000 people, and everybody lived to talk about it. There was no cross burnings. There was no satanic rituals.
Exactly.
Marilyn Manson wasn't there. It was a beautiful thing.
No heads bitten off or anything like that. Beautiful. It was a good time.
Yeah.
People had a good time. Now, was drums your first instrument? Was that the thing you instantly went for?
Yeah, pretty much. It's the only instrument. You know, when I was a kid and sitting there at home in Copenhagen, Denmark, where I grew up, and we were playing along. You know, all of my friends were playing air guitar, doing this.
I did all that. You know how many concerts
I
gave
I was sitting there doing this.
Sure.
So I was air drumming along, and
I used to do air guitar.
Come on, let me see. I
gotta do the crowd. Oh, dude, don't you remember? You put on the headphones and and your mother catch you. Mom, come on, man. Give me a concert.
What we used to do, I used to get some of my friends together, and we'd get into this like tiny little room. And what we'd do, we'd blast the heat up in the room, and we'd get like a couple tennis rackets and like a broom shaft and a couple like paint stirrers for drumsticks, and then we'd sit in there, put on Deep Purple's Made in Japan, and we'd pretend we were up on stage, and it was like about like 90 degrees in this room, right? And we're just like sweating, and we're up on stage. One day I want to do this for real.
I was there with you. I was there with you. Now, who were your idols? You just mentioned Deep Purple, or?
I mean, I started getting into it when I was really young. I was like going to concerts when I was 10.
10 years old?
10 years old. In 1973, my dad took me to see Deep Purple in Copenhagen. I was like this tall. I'm like running around, and there's Richie Blackmore out there throwing his guitar around. I'm like, wow, this is really cool.
That's insane.
You know, at that time it was Deep Purple, Black Sabbath in the mid-70s. Also, you know, growing up in Europe, there were bands like Slade and Swede and sort of like European sort of pop music and so on. And then it started getting into the more European like metal stuff like Judas Priest.
Iron Maiden.
Yeah, no, that was a little later, but
Dio and all that.
But initially it was Deep Purple. That was it.
And that was the thing. Stick around. We'll be right back with Lars Ulrich when Later returns.
This way, life is ours, we live it our way. Hold these words I don't just say, and nothing else matters. What's that scene that I find in you?
Love you, man.
No,
all right. So excited.
I love them.
Welcome back to Later. We're chatting with Lars Ulrich right here. How'd the band form? A long time ago.
God.
You just came out of the tennis.
Wow,
you finished the air guitar concert. I know. I was kind of out there too.
Well, I was born in 1963. No, I was living here in L.A. The whole tennis thing had pretty much fallen flat on its face.
Yeah, bang,
and
that's out.
That was over. Failed tennis prodigy there, and so I decided basically, okay, now I want to play drums and I want to be in a band because that's what my second love has always been. So I took an ad out, as you guys will probably know here in LA, called The Recycler. Go into 7-Eleven, get The Recycler. Section 802, you know, musicians seeking bands. And, you know, drummer from, you know, heavy metal drummer looking for other people into forming heavy metal band. And so I'd put like these wacky bands in there, like all these overseas bands nobody had ever heard of, you know, like Diamond Head and Angel Witch and Tigers of Pantang. And people would call it, well, I'm really into heavy metal, but never heard of Angel Witch, but I like Styx a lot. Does that count? And I'm like, I gotta go. And so anyway, I hooked up with this guy, James Hetfield, who finally answered one of the ads. And me and him just, there was a vibe there. And we sat around and listened a lot to all my English records, and I played him a lot of stuff that I was into. And you know, you want to try and get this off the ground. And we formed a band, started writing some songs, played around LA for a little while. We went on the road and made records the year after we formed. I mean, I was only 19, which is really young and we were traveling and making records, and that was back in '83. And 16 years later, Jim's got his own TV show, and I'm his guest. What do you want?
Now, speaking of that,
wait, you're not Cindy Crawford.
You were cheating.
I guess I'm a week later.
Now, within that, you achieved a lot of milestones. I mean, a lot of milestones. I would say professionally, probably not professionally. Is there anything that you haven't hit that Lars Ulrich still would love to do?
Jump out of an airplane.
Go, yeah, really?
Well, I don't know.
That's
I mean, you know, you have these lists in your head of all the things you want to do. One day I want to go trekking in the Himalayas. You know, one day, you know, I'd say one day I would like to, I think, penetrate the movie world.
Really?
You know, all guys in rock bands want to be movie stars. All
And
guys
vice versa.
But you know,
Because right now, you know, I'm dying.
But movie,
What's up, New York City? Trust me, you're all like that.
But movies have been a love of mine for like 10, 15, 20 years. It is mine now. It's my great escape away from music. I love pictures. I love the art of filmmaking. I'm really interested in the writing. I'm interested in the direction. I go see as many movies. It's my great escape away from music. And I think one day it would be fun to penetrate that world, mainly because I don't know very much about it. And so, you know, like either act or do maybe some writing or some producing or whatever.
Now, I would say, even though you don't know, you say you don't know much about it, but still, aren't you involved with the videos? I mean, don't you?
Yeah, but, you know, videos.
Even though you're active, but still,
Right.
no, that's,
Yeah.
I would say there's a lot going on there.
I mean, I think I would be more interested in the creative aspects of movie making.
Right,
I
sure.
think that I am what most people refer to as a control freak. Surprise. And I think that it would be very difficult for me to be in a medium where I would not be able to deal with all the creative aspects of it, which is why I think I would probably feel more comfortable being involved in like the writing or the directing or the producing or
and all
something
that
like that.
stuff,
But,
sure.
I mean, making videos is just like, I mean, it's the most overrated thing. And you know, just you show up. We did a video the other day. You show up. You have a call time at 10. You know, you sit around for 6, 8 hours.
I know the feeling.
It's like it's the most boring thing.
I
And then
know.
you go up and you sit and mime along to a song you recorded 2 years ago that you can't remember the parts for. And then that's it. And then you know they do it all in post-production anyway, and then that's it. But one day I'll penetrate the movie world in one form or another.
Sounds good. Maybe we'll work together.
Yeah.
I'm Jim Breuer. We'll be right back to Lars Ulrich here later. Welcome back to Later. We're here with Lars Ulrich. Lars Ulrich, who you also have a big interest with art.
With
correct?
art?
Yeah? Aren't you a
Voila.
big art guy?
Big art guy.
You're a
that's
big
me.
art guy, Lars.
Yes, Jim, I have a great interest in art. Thank you.
Yeah? Like what kind of art?
You want to get really specific here?
I love to be really specific.
Well, in 1948,
I'm Cindy Crawford.
I'm still a week late. I'm really interested in abstract expressionism. Abstract expressionism is basically like Jackson Pollock, William de Kooning, Franz Klein started getting into Motherwell and all these guys. It started basically after the war when art worldwide had always been, the focus had been in Paris. And the focus kind of shifted to New York, and there was all these young guys coming up that were doing all these like really new things. Not the Impressionist had always been, you know, here's a nice picture of a church, or here's a river, and these guys started getting into all these things abstract that were just sort of, that could be interpreted in so many different ways. And I love things that aren't real sort of matter of fact, that you can look at these paintings and get different things out of them. You come back to the next day and you see something completely different. And I collect some of this stuff, and it's great going to auctions and sitting there and sweating and doing all these type of things and bidding along. It's a lot of fun. It's my great passion. Also,
Really?
apart from
Going to
movies.
auctions?
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Oh no, it's just scratching. And that Picasso for 53 million goes to the young man down in the front.
Hey, that's our show for tonight. I'm Jim Breuer, and I'll catch you later. Thank you, Lars.